how about we acknowledge that your game maybe only needs to be about 60% good, but then your face is the rest?
No, because I can tell you, gosh, I mean, I can just tell you from my own personal experience that, there's plenty of girls that have rated me pretty far up on the scale. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie, I'm a pretty good looking dude. Okay. I'm 6'3".
All right. So how can you, I'm sorry to interrupt. So how can you, have any empathy for ugly guys? And now I get it. You lost weight. You looked to max, but you didn't change any bones in your face.
Okay, but at my best, do you know how much I've been shot down? Like, horribly shot down because I didn't know what I was doing.
You weren't looks to max. You weren't.
No, I was. Even at looks maxed. I've been shot down like unbelievably to the point where I was like questioning, right? Like, is this what does it actually take to actually succeed here? And it takes a lot more than what you would expect, actually. So that's I mean, how can you explain that? How could you explain me looking well above average and being shot down, right? Even having a decent amount of, like, not great game. But the problem is it's such a complex thing. Here's the other thing that you just said that really kind of proves the point a little bit deeper, which is that you said, how is it that, if a guy can't get a girlfriend, we say that he needs just to work on his game. Well, if your mindset, honestly, guys, if it is to get a girlfriend, then the problem is that, like, you're not ever going to have game. You're like okay. So again, I don't do this for a living, but if I teach guys how to get girls, I'm teaching them how to find them the single night in the club and bring them home with them that night. I like getting a girlfriend. To me, I consider that to be just child's play. Like, it's so easy. Like, and the reason why is because if your goal is to get a girlfriend, your thinking will be focused. Like, you'll have so much riding in that basket. But if your thinking is, I just want to, pick up girls and f them from the club, then you are going to be in the right mindset to be the kind of guy that is going to be more attractive to women in general, right? And so that's like something that is extremely difficult to overcome, because that mindset, it exhibits itself in a multitude of ways that you can't control, in your behaviors and your mannerisms, in the way that you carry yourself, all these sort of micro type of signals that we pick up on as humans. That mindset has to be completely different than just trying to get a girlfriend. If you're just trying to get a girlfriend, it's going to be so hard for you to do it. But if it'll be actually easier for you to just to go out and say, I just want to, if you said I wanted 10 girls, okay, that'll be easier, actually.
Oh, wow. Where do I start? From your mindset, because you believe in the power of game, and you believe you believe it's more important than looks, right?
Well, so it depends on the context, right?
Okay.
Like I said, if you just went up and started doing direct approaches, looks would probably trump game there, because you're not going to have an opportunity. And when we say game, okay, game is such a stupid word. I mean, we use it because we kind of know what it means, but really what it is it's social calibration. It's understanding female psychology. It's knowing how to move an interaction forward to what you want to do, right? I mean,
can you admit that you can know everything there is to know about game and still strike out because of your looks or height?
Well,
no, you nearly said, of course. You nearly did.
Well, of course, because I would say that you could have really good looks and height and know everything there is about game, and you're still going to strike out. Why do people always say
it that way around? People always focus. I had a term. I was thinking about it this week, and I had a term for it. It was the Chad outlier meme, I would call it. I will probably think of a better name for it in the future, but let's call it the Chad outlier meme, where people will say, well, if you're 9 out of 10, 6'5" Chad, but you have bad game, then you're not going to get anything. Therefore, game is so important. Why not focus on the fact that, or why not bear in mind that most Chads, all right, let's do it this way. Why not focus on the fact that if you're ugly, you can have all the game in the world on your side and still strike out? Why not focus on the ugly guy with game who doesn't get return on investment from game, rather than the outlier Chad who somehow doesn't have game and social skills, which is rare because most Chads actually are chosen by women, so their social skills their social skills are likely to be better because they have positive reinforcement. Why don't you look at the ugly guys with game who don't get return on investment?
Well, because again, okay, so when you say strike out, what do you mean? Like, I mean,
rejection. Sorry, I have a boyfriend, or you're not my type, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're going to get that no matter who you are.
But
you're going to get a higher incidence of it if you're less good looking, for sure. Like that's. I mean, is anyone debating that?
How about you get nothing, no positive results? Everyone gets rejected, but I'm talking about getting no positive results if you're not good looking. Why don't we focus on the fact that game can't help a lot of men?
Oh,
will you acknowledge that? Will you acknowledge that game can't help a lot of men, even if they have the best game?
Okay, so think about it this way. Here's how I would put this. Okay, so it's always going to come down to a numbers game, right? And so let's say that you're okay. Let me ask you this question: How many approaches do you think that the average guy would have to do in order to get laid once?
A 5 out of 10 guy. Well, in 2019, I'm saying I would think 30 would be respectable. If you're doing 50 approaches, you're talking about like a part-time job now. So 30, I would say.
Okay, this explains everything. Then this is exactly okay because
you're telling me you need to do 100 approaches to get a girlfriend.
I'm gonna say I always tell guys 300.
300.
Yeah. Okay.
This is one of the few times in the discussion that Bulldog was right, in my opinion. Sometimes when live streaming, I'm paying attention to the live chat on YouTube, the super chats, the guests, Skype calls, Discord calls, whether the Discord and Skype calls can hear each other, my internet connection, other people in the house that I live here with, if the stream is running long, if the stream is entertaining, viewer count, if we're on topic, if I'm representing the truth correctly, volume checks and sound quality, the footage material that we're reviewing. I'm trying to balance so many different things that often when I say something, I'm firing from the hip and not giving a well thought out response. For some reason, I was answering the question, what would be a reasonable amount of women for a 5 out of 10 man to approach to get a lay, and not how many women would a 5 out of 10 man have to approach to get a lay. 30 was a stupid answer to the actual question being asked. I think it's actually closer to Bulldog's number of 300. My answer of 1 lay in 30 approaches is reasonable. You could approach 30 women in a month, meaning 1 lay a month. That would be acceptable. As brutal and harsh as 29 back-to-back rejections are, approaching 30 women is feasible. Bulldog's number of 1 lay in 300 approaches, now that's insane. I mean, do you even come into contact with 300 fertile women in a decade in a place where it's socially acceptable to approach? But yes, Bulldog's number of 300 was way more accurate for an average man. My number was what would be acceptable, encouraging, motivating, while still being feasible. The thing is, it's hard to find the motivation to approach 300 women when you know you're not a woman's best option. And Bulldog wasn't guaranteeing 1 in 300 anyway. He meant that 300 approaches is just to get the ball rolling.
Because even if you are the best looking guy, okay,
yeah,
you are going to, if you approach 10 women in a night, let's say that you're best looking guy, you're probably going to get rejected at least 3 or 4 times. There had been nights where I'd gone out before and I'd been rejected like 10 out of 10 times.
Okay.
Like, now some of it has to do with just not feeling the vibe right, not connecting right, and just some
but
silly mistakes and things like that.
Then again,
but
some women, sometimes the vibe that you create or the ability for you to flirt is dependent on the feedback you get from the woman. So if the woman isn't giving you anything to, isn't giving you anything to work with, your flirting is not gonna. Yeah. You can't flirt with a woman who's giving you one word answers.
Oh yes, you can. Trust me.
Oh really?
So many times. It's you break through eventually, or you don't. You don't always break through, but when you do. When you do break through, then it is so much better. You get so much more credibility and credit when you break through in that case. So my point is this: most guys are giving up.
As a 5, or what are you? I would say 5 or 6 out of 10 in the face, and then your body's like a 7 maybe. That's from what I've seen. You're above average looking. How are you in any position to say to a 3 out of 10 guy that he just needs to work on his game? How are you in any position to say to a 3 out of 10 guy that his game is the problem?
For a couple of reasons. One, because how can I be that and then be rejected if your theory is correct, right? We can prove one thing by
they're not mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive.
Okay.
You can be a Chad who doesn't talk to women, or like say the last Harvey who we had on just a moment ago. You could be a Chad and have his personality. So I don't get it's not so much about again, back to the Chad outlier. It's not so much about Chad having a bad personality, because Chads can, for whatever reason, can have a bad personality. Let's focus on the ugly guy with a good personality who is willing to approach, who has game but gets no results. Let's focus on that. Why don't you acknowledge that that's a growing thing? 28%. As you said, it's probably more. You agreed with me. Growing. Why can't you acknowledge that?
For a couple of reasons. One of them is just real simple. Like I said, when I tell guys that I work with that it's going to take them about 300 approaches to get laid one time, I don't see very many guys that are willing to put in the 300 approaches that it takes. Okay, now that number will reduce over time, but there is so much to learn and there is so much to understand that it is a lifelong pursuit. Okay, so.
You really think guys in the 50s did 300 approaches to get a wife?
If I'm going to teach a guy something, I'm going to teach him how to get a girl to want to him. That's the difference. Now, with that, what am I going to work on? Am I going to work on looks? For sure, I'm going to work on looks. You should looks max. There's no reason why you wouldn't. Okay. But it's so much of it is psychological. There, you can be a good-looking guy, and you cannot know how to turn on a woman because women are not
the Chad outlier. We keep going to the Chad outlier. This rare Chad that doesn't have game or personality. Let's focus on the ugly guys.
Here's where I will agree with you. Okay, I think it's like a U curve. Okay, I think if you're very high at the top of the good looks, that it's going to be a lot easier for you. And if you're very low at the end of the bad looks category, it's going to be really hard for you. Okay, so that's how it. So if you took game would rise. So if you, I wish I could draw this, but if you think of a U curve like that, if you think game rises the curve, but the curve still exists. There's still an exponential curve on one end and on the other end. Okay, and so game will rise it for every level, but it'll actually apply better.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, that was a Discord call. Sorry.
Oh, okay. On one spectrum. Yeah. So. When we're talking about someone who's like, when we're objectively rating, if you have a facial deformity, if you've got some serious, thing that is going to make you look really bad as a guy, honestly, like you're going to need a lot. You're going to need
a lot of what? A lot of game, a lot of surgery, a lot of style. What?
You're going to need a lot of everything, right? Yeah. It's going to be difficult for you. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be, but
can you admit that it may be almost impossible if you have such a bad face?
If it's so bad, it may be almost impossible.
Okay.
Now there's outliers that have been able to make it happen. Okay, but I wouldn't count on it. I mean, if you're honestly could really honestly rate yourself as like a 1 or a 2 or maybe even a 3, then I would say, okay, you're going to have a very, very difficult life. You've been dealt a bad hand. You know, probably something like plastic surgery or whatever you can do, make some money, get some plastic surgery. Like those things are like, I'm not going to just give you false hope and just, say that game is going to, improve your life. Okay. Now, if you're above that, if you're like a 4 or 5, 6, most guys that are 4s could actually just looks max their way up to at least a 6. Okay, just by, I mean, if you get in the best physical shape that you can, if you've got 6-pack abs, you're gonna at least bump yourself up there, right? And even facially, right? Because when you're that athletic, your facial structure does improve a lot. But aside from that, if you can just be in the average zone, okay, then that's where game is going to have the greatest effect. But it's going to require you.
I would say that's where game will start to influence your interactions. I would say game will start to help you if you're above average looking. If you're average looking, you're still not a woman's best choice. She still has better than you.
By the way, people are asking if I'm on TRT, which I'm not on TRT. So
okay, all right. You're how tall are you, by the way?
I'm 6'3".
You're 6'3", same as me, and you're above average looking. So that's where you're coming from. Let me read some of these live chats. Okay. I want to get to let's start from last week. Fasting Man $2 says, let's talk about. I'm not going to say that. The creating an incel world. Okay. Trump $2 says, do you fear of being fired for being ugly? I think we handled that. L. Jackson said, pronounce. I'm not going to say that. Yeah, like in WW3. No, I'm not going to say that. 1%.
Real quick on the fear, the fired of being ugly comments type of stuff.
Yeah.
I love how Game of Thrones completely disproves the idea that good looking people are the only ones who become famous celebrities. Or
yeah, but okay, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but the people in Game of Thrones who are ugly or short or dwarf, are they playing the heroes?
The main character is the ugly looking dwarf guy.
And does he get like a wife in the show? Is he like seen as a masculine figure, or is he like pitied? Or I don't know, because I don't watch the show.
He's seen as pretty much the badass of the show.
Okay. Son of Meager of the Sword says, how can you get girls if you have Asperger's but you're good looking? Like, should I try to just hook up quickly and try not to talk to hide the burgers? I'll give a quick response, and then you could answer that as well.
Okay.
If you have Asperger's, that's going to make things way difficult. This is going back to the Chad outlier thing that I said earlier. If you pass the looks test, but your personality is holding you back, that's a separate issue from most of what I discuss on this channel. I discuss looks. Mainly money and status. If it's your personality or aspects of your personality or your mental state or how you interact socially, that's a different question, and it's going to be hard for you to. It's going to be hard for women to see, like, okay, the guy we had on just a while ago, we all got the sense that there was something off about him, right? I'm not being rude, right? If a woman is talking to a guy who's a good looking guy, but he has that kind of personality, unless you pass some kind of requirement, you're tall or you're white or something, it's going to be difficult, or you're going to be you may luck out with a girlfriend, but you're not gonna. It's not gonna. The standard thing isn't going to be you getting laid often. It's going to be more like you need this one-off outlier girlfriend who is okay with your Asperger's.
Yeah, but it could just be fixed. I mean, this is one of those things, like if you take the guy from earlier, he was just not very grounded in his masculinity. He just didn't know who he was. He was really trying to showboat and just trying to get some kind of, attention, right? But if he knew who he was, and if he spoke, from what I would say like a grounded place, and he learned did a little bit of personal development. I mean, he's got time. He'll grow and became a little bit more of a man. Then he would speak and act in a lot different way. And I think that's the case for a lot of guys that think that they have Asperger's. They don't really have Asperger's. Now, yeah, you can be autistic. It's fine. That's a totally different thing. But I don't even believe in Asperger's. I believe that a lot of it is social conditioning. It takes a lot of actual work to develop yourself to become a man today. I think one of the biggest problems that we have today is that we do not have men. Okay, almost all of the whining, that
men aren't allowed
hear,
to be men, though. Men aren't allowed to be men.
Okay, but this is why Chads are Chads, right? I hate the term Chad because I don't believe there is such a thing as Chad. But the reason why Chads are Chads is because they don't give a because they say, you know what, you don't like. They don't even give a that men aren't allowed to be men today. They're just act how they're going to act. And that's what we're missing.
Chads aren't Chad because of their personality. Chads are Chad because they have good bone structure, good height, good hair, good skin, and women choose them. It's not Chads aren't a social construct. They are definite, top 10, 20% looking guys that women choose.
That's untrue. This whole term of Chad
what is that based on? It's like untrue based on what? What are you basing that on?
Based on there's no, like, if you're to say, okay, give me the actual test that you can perform to determine whether someone is a quote Chad.
It's a very in-depth bunch of concepts. We have to talk about jaw. My next WAR video, I've limited what makes a jaw attractive to seven concepts, but even that I'm simplifying. There is the length of the mandible, there is a gonial angle, there is a gonian position, there is the ramus length, there is the visibility of the jawline, the chin projection. There's so much that makes. You can definitely define a Chad, in terms of, mathematical, I guess, or geometry or whatever, but it's hard to explain. But women can look at a Chad. The thing is, women don't need a ruler and a protractor to determine a Chad. They just look at the Chad and boom, attraction.
So it's subjective. That's all I'm saying is it's subjective.
It's not subjective. Do you think? Do you know who Ian Somerhalder is?
No.
Do you know who? Let's say, who's the guy who played Superman in Smallville?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom something.
Tom. Yeah, Tom. Well, let me see if the chat knows. All right, but yeah, Tom, the Superman guy, or Henry Cavill. Then, him versus sorry. Anyway, Henry Cavill versus Danny DeVito. Which one is attractive?
That's a gimme though. That's pretty easy.
Okay, but I'm giving you an obvious example, but then acknowledge that there is in between those two stark differences, there are minor differences that are still important.
For sure. So attractiveness is not entirely subjective.
It's not entirely.
You're right.
Thank you. All right, there you go. Thank you.
And I would never make that point. I'm just saying that there's too much emphasis placed on the idea of a Chad. There's not a very clear line. A lot of it is
Tom Welling. Thank you, Road Warrior. Tom Welling.
Yeah. But a lot of it is not. It's not even important, right? There's plenty of instances women will choose guys that are not the best looking guy that they can get.
Okay, all right, that's good. That I want to all right. I'll come back to these what do you call them? Super chats. What you just said there, because I want to move on. Because
okay,
all right. So if I go to this one, all right. So. This is brutal. This is this woman. Women feel more comfortable talking about their problems in anonymity. So I know I'm going to get people saying, anyone could have written this. Some guy could have written this. And if you come from that mindset that everything that's written that paints women in a bad light is written by a guy. Anything that paints women in a bad light that's written in anonymity is a guy secretly trying to bring down women. Then that's you're a bit too far gone. There are various examples.
Yeah,
let's assume it's true.
And but here's one thing I'll say before we get into that, which is that I would never ever trust something that a woman told me about what she finds attractive or how she determines whether a man is attractive or what qualities she looks for in a man. I know from experience 100% that it's not a lie. It's just that she doesn't understand it.
I would say that you need to look at both what women say and how they behave. All right, let me read this. All right, this is from a woman speaking in anonymity on the student forum, and she says the title is "I don't find my boyfriend attractive." So this goes out to all the blue pillars or red pillars that think that I see so many ugly guys with decent looking girlfriends, therefore looks don't matter. All right, let's I'm coming for you guys. Let me bring this up on my screen. All right, so right, I don't find my boyfriend attractive. Anonymous, she's anonymous one. I've been with let me move this over, sorry. I've been with my boyfriend for almost a year now. He's the perfect boyfriend. He's so sweet and thoughtful to me. He's really affectionate and loves me to bits. He's kind. He makes me laugh nonstop. We always have so much fun. There's no one I could there's no one I would rather spend my time with than him. And equally, I am so in love with him too. But I don't find him attractive. I never have found him attractive. Objectively, he is not a good-looking guy. He is shorter than me and a bit chubby. Sometimes when we're in bed, I kind of get grossed out and have much less of a snuggle drive than I have had with other boyfriends. Is this a big problem? I guess the obvious answer is yes, but shouldn't I be happy that I have a boyfriend who is so good to me and who I get on so well with? Isn't this more than a lot of people have in their relationships / marriages? Am I shallow to wish that I had a better looking boyfriend? And let me see if there are any other replies. Before I read on, if you look, there are similar topics below that post that say, I'm not intimately attracted to my boyfriend. I think I might be in love with my friend. That's a different topic. But there are multiple examples of this kind of thing being said. So even if you don't believe this particular example, there are many examples of it happening. I don't think every post like this is some man secretly trying to make women look bad. No. All right.
No, and I see this all the time. I get emails like this all the time from women and men. Okay, and here's a few things, right? The first thing, if you just look at what she said here, he's a perfect boyfriend. He's so sweet and thoughtful to me. He's really affectionate and loves me to bits. He's kind. He makes me laugh. oh my gosh, this is not the way to build female attraction, okay? She is not going to be
intimately
attracted to a guy that is so sweet and thoughtful, okay? I'm not saying to be an asshole, but I'm saying that part of the reason why there's no spark and no chemistry and no attraction here is because this guy just does not get it. He's a typical nice guy. He's bending over backwards for her, right?
Now, she said he's not good looking. She said okay, he's shorter than her.
Okay. So, but what did she say first? She said those things first, and then she said that he's not good looking, right? He's short. That's fine. Those things are pieces of the puzzle. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be better if he were good looking, but if
this assumption that you red pillars make that you need to improve your game, you need to, obviously you do. I do agree with that, but how do you respond to the very real assertion that even if you do improve your game, there are guys who are good looking who have game as well. So if you're an ugly guy and you have the best game in the world, you still are nothing to. It's not as if ugly guys have the monopoly on good game and good social skills. So if you're an ugly guy and you have the best game in the world, there are still Chads that have great game. So how do you compete?
If he's cute, am I red for sure? Or like, are my eyes going crazy?
If he's cute, in which kind of light does this put game when she's saying that if he's cute, it's a different reaction from if she doesn't consider him good looking?
But you're so good looking.
Oh, thank you. I like your style, Dana. I like the way you put together.
Oh, you remembered my name?
Yes, I did.
Him remembering her name, he gets more return on investment because of his looks. If you were ugly and you remembered her name, it wouldn't be impressive. It would not be impressive.
It's because of the teasing nature of the conversation. That it has nothing really to do with that.
Please.